Welcome to the Marketing Powers Podcast. I'm your host, Mkwemba Mangangu, and I'm joined by my co-host, Grace Gondwe.
We're both marketing enthusiasts with a passion for sharing our knowledge and insights with you. This podcast is designed to equip our listeners with the information they need to excel at marketing in their different spaces. Our aim is to bring marketing home.
With that said, let's delve into today's episode.
Hi guys, how we doing?
Hi Tukia, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm great.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, is it?
Always great. This guy is always great.
High energies,
As always.
keeping it at 100.
100.
Early in the morning.
Yeah.
He called me early in the 8 a.m. Perky. Like, bro, why?
Why?
It's 8 in the morning. It's 8 in the morning. And he's like, I'm not the one who upset you.
He had a point though. He had a point.
I wasn't upset. I was just still defrosting. It's too early.
Exactly. Some people need 2 minutes to defrost. Others need 3 hours.
Exactly. Me? So I'm not even the extra. I just need an hour. Just give me an hour.
An hour.
Just 1 hour.
Work starts in the morning.
The early whim.
Not the early bird. The early
whim.
The early worm.
I don't know why we're calling it the early worm.
Early worm.
What happened to the early bird catches the worm?
The early worm. I think it's Ben Lombe.
Oh no.
The legendary. I think it's the legendary.
The man, the myth, the legend.
He I think said something about birds and worms. And yeah, it's stuck now. If you scroll through, see people waking up in the morning, it's the early worm, not the bird.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, we're taking back the English language.
That is so unconventional and unorthodox. It slips right into today's topic.
Yeah. Today we are.
So today we're discussing guerrilla marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. King Kong.
You King Kong.
King Kong vibes.
For those of you who can't see, I'm beating my chest right now.
At the right moment.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So we're talking about guerrilla marketing.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, we use guerrilla marketing because we're trying to cut through the clutter and make our products stand out on the market. And so many companies have begun to embrace this strategy known as guerrilla marketing. So it's been there for as long as we can remember. And going back to previous conversations we've had as to why we have this podcast is to bring actual names to certain situations that we already see and things that we're exposed to. So now people can, next time we're exposed to it, we go, okay, I know what that is. That's another example of guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing.
Yes.
Just, I think something that I want to comment on that is as we go on, with episodes and even the episodes we've had in the past, I think something that you realize, as you're listening is marketing is actually very intentional.
Yeah.
Even those things that don't seem super intentional, like that you take for granted, probably will touch on sales and merchandising in a future episode. But like when you go in a store, how things are arranged in the store, what's at eye level, what's on the lower shelves, the nicest chocolates being right when you're at the checkout.
Exactly.
All of it is very, very intentional. And I think that's something just to note as we're talking about guerrilla marketing. It's an unconventional strategy, but it's a strategy all the same. And it's just a theme that carries through as you're talking about marketing and all of these things is we are super intentional. Sometimes it doesn't look like it, but there's always, some kind of intentionality there.
Yeah, there's always strategy to it. And you just reminded me when you're talking about merchandising, which is why I think to a certain extent, even ShopRite in the trolleys, there is that provision for the kids to sit.
Yes.
So that, if they are not by the tea, of course, they want to grab a chocolate, they want to grab a sweet.
Yes.
And I think those items at the checkout counter are usually items that people would forget to buy. So it's kind of like a reminder. They'll smart.
Forget to buy oil. Like you're in the aisles and you're like, I'm mature, I'm healthy. I ain't gonna do that. New year, new me. And then at the checkout, your hands will reach for the Oreos without you thinking. I need to be like, it's the small one, right?
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll be talking about it today. We'll talk about, some global examples, and me being the advocate for Zambian examples, we'll talk about Zambian examples
Loco
as well.
is laka.
Always, Mr. Dreadkins.
100.
Mr. Dreadkins here. So we'll be getting into some of the specifics of that and just discussing a bit of that. Mkwemba?
Okay, so firstly, guerrilla marketing is spelled GUERRILLA.
Yeah.
So if you decide to look it up, do not search the actual gorilla. Our King Kong here.
Don't look for King Kong.
So that's how you spell it. So now the name comes or has similarities from guerrilla warfare. So guerrilla warfare refers to a loosely organized effort fighting against a bigger, more established force. So actually in places of war, this is mostly related to a band of rebels using the element of surprise against heavily armed troops. So the guerrilla warfare, in essence, disrupts enemy forces with unconventional methods. And so guerrilla marketing uses unconventional methods to evoke an emotional response in consumers in ways that traditional just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It uses that element of shock value. It uses the element of surprise. It uses subtlety, right? So there'll be some very, very overt guerrilla marketing tactics, and we'll touch on some examples. But there's also like some super subtle examples of guerrilla marketing. So it's ultimately what is at the essence of it is it's unconventional.
Very
It's
unconventional.
not what we would usually do. You think of marketing, you're going to think of like an ad, now social media, a social media campaign. And guerrilla marketing could use some of those things, but ultimately there'll be that element of unconventionality.
Yeah.
Because what it tries to do also is like not... I mean, it's going to be... You're going to see it. It's going to surprise you, but it's not, like we've said, it's not traditional advertising that is like you feel like it's come and it's being pushed towards you.
No.
It's just, oh, okay, that's interesting. And all of a sudden it's like, what's that about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most of the times it's something that, like you said, it's very hard to describe what guerrilla marketing is, but when you see it,
Yes.
you will know.
Yes.
Or when you hear it, you will know.
You know what it is, yeah.
And when it comes to being subtle and over the top, just around the table, team subtle or team over the top? When it comes to marketing,
I think it depends.
It depends, yeah.
I think it depends on what it is you're trying to sell and who you're trying to sell to.
yeah.
Which, I mean, always comes down to that. Know your audience, know your target market, know your segmentation.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into know your audience because, I mean, even for this, it's very important.
It's a very important
Yeah.
element. So if your target market is a
Gen
rich
Zs?
auntie,
Oh,
Gen Z,
Yeah.
shock value
yes.
over the top.
Yeah.
If your target market is a rich auntie in her 40s,
Yes.
driving a nice car, got
Auntie rich in a Range Rover. Yeah.
shock value
Going to
isn't going to
Okadeco.
shock value isn't going to work, because the stage of life where you are at in Maslow's hierarchy is different. Where at in Maslow's hierarchy is different. So I think it's about who are your target audiences,
Yeah.
what are you selling?
What are you selling?
I think all of those things matter. I think a product that would benefit from subtlety, in my opinion, perfume.
I was going to guess you were gonna say perfume. No kidding.
Yes.
No
Perfume.
kidding.
I don't know how you would. I don't know anyway. Just like perceptions that have been built over time.
Yeah.
Selling a perfume, you do it with class.
Yes, it's
and
class.
elegance.
Yes.
And
Yes.
maybe shoes. Shoes maybe
Yeah.
would be a shock
But
value.
Yes, it is. But I think shoes is quite a balance because if you're going to look at, I'll give an example of Kanye West's brand of shoes.
Yes.
That's the definition of over the top.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with Nike and Adidas, you have something still very simplistic,
Yeah.
very subtle in
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So-
Kwemba?
it's a combination of both.
No, at some point now I was looking at, how you've talked about shock value and I'm thinking, and we're talking about over the top. And I just realized, because I was now trying to confuse it with the element of surprise. And now just, based off what you've said and what I've just thought about, I've realized that those things can just like slip into it just because it's not shocking doesn't mean you're not going to be surprised
that's
by
true.
how they do it.
Yes.
Going back to
Yeah.
our guerrilla marketing conversation.
Yes. It's interesting. You can use those different elements together, right? It can still be a mix. It will be subtle, but it can still be surprising. Obviously, if it's over the top, it will be surprising. But you can mix those different.
I'm team over the top, just so you know.
Of course you are.
You would be. And you know why? Because really, if you think about it, you are a Gen Z in a lot of ways.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, you are a Gen Z. Like, obviously, like, we're kind of like towing the line between a Gen Z and a millennial, but like, if we sit you down and dissect,
The millennial 10 Gen Z. First, let's not assume he's a Gen Z.
No,
He's just in the Gen Z bubble.
By definition, it's borderline. I think yes, it's borderline.
We're right at the cusp.
Yeah.
We're right. I don't know about you, but like
It's borderline.
as this side.
This on this side.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, with guerrilla marketing, I think one of the interesting things about it is it came out around the 1980s, and it was this man J. Conrad Levinson who had done different kinds of like advertising, traditional marketing, etc., and then began to venture out into trying to explore, what are the different ways, what are the different tactics, and I think he was the first person to like coin the idea of guerrilla marketing, and I think he wrote the first book that was focused on guerrilla marketing and guerrilla marketing strategies.
Yeah, truly. So with that in mind, I think we can also now just look into, having also just brought up the element of surprise in the conversation, we can go into what are the features of guerrilla marketing. Okay, and the first one, of course, is the element of surprise.
Yeah.
So the type of marketing generally offers unusual interactions with potential customers. So often marketing tries to surprise or shock the audience, like you mentioned earlier. Going back to the things we've discussed. I don't know if you should already get into some examples.
There's so many examples, we might as well get into them.
I think this is one of those
with them
things.
as we go. Yeah,
I think this is one of those things where you need examples to actually like see it in action.
Because I mean, if you just tell people the element of surprise, they're like, okay, what are they talking about? Like, what? So, what comes to mind when you think of the element of surprise?
When I think of the element of surprise, global example, I think, would be flash mobs.
Okay.
Yeah, we love flash mobs.
Maybe not as popular now, but like in the 2010s.
Yeah.
They were a very, very big thing.
Yeah.
They were a very big thing. In malls, in like public places, you just randomly have a group of like 100 people and they start dancing and, it's about a product or they're wearing particular things about a product and stuff like that, right? So I think that's one of the examples that comes to mind.
Well, in relation to flash mobs, I feel that's something that's happening a lot. It was a thing, but it's back. It's somewhat. It's still happening, and people are doing it obviously like with this unconventional ways, and others are doing it to promote their songs.
Yeah.
So, like, I was watching a video where someone released a song. I can't remember the title of the song, but it's a nice song. So they're just in the mall or in the shopping, in the supermarket, and he just starts singing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like near the checkouts.
Yeah.
And then people are looking at him, and then before you know it, the rest of the group joins.
Yeah. I think I remember that video.
Yeah, and everyone is just okay. So now you're like, what song is that? Like it sounds so great.
Yeah.
So that's now the element of surprise.
Yeah.
And another thing that's happening locally, I feel I've noticed is people with dance studios are going back to dance from the mall.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
I've seen that.
Yes,
Yes.
I think-
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's become very popular, and I think some of these brands should pick up on that. I think it could be a huge like brand visibility point. If you have, just imagine traditional Kopala people coming to do their Kopala thing at the mall
At East Park.
at East Park Mall on a Saturday where schools are closed, month
yeah.
end.
Yeah,
You
that's-
can imagine how
high
packed the mall would be.
visibility. Yep.
Yes, and you just have people in your branded T-shirts dancing.
Mm-hmm.
It won't only be the people at the mall that are going to see that, but people are obviously going to pull out their phones,
Content.
create
around it.
content, and your brand is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that out of the box element, because usually when you talk about like dance with
Yeah.
advertising, you're thinking about a roadshow.
Yes.
So roadshow is going to the people, but like with the flash mob like
People
that,
are
it's in
coming
the
to
mall.
you.
The people are coming and they're finding, this advertising, so to say, right in the mall where they're doing their shopping. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Then we have the next feature is cost effectiveness. So
Yep.
most guerrilla marketing campaigns have low budgets but drive great results.
Mhm.
So this is a trait that makes guerrilla marketing resemble growth hacking, as it's referred to. Now, something that comes to mind, obviously, I mean, you're trying to get as much visibility as you can using as little as you can. So how do you go about that? There's a plumbing company, okay, and generally you think, okay, plumbers, and in most cases they're men that are doing the plumbing. So what do? They brand themselves in pink. So they're the pink plumbing company. So now you have all these men dressed in pink, in pink vans.
That's so cool.
Unorthodox.
Really, that you wouldn't see that coming, and it's really just a matter of changing the color,
Switch it up a
and
bit.
that's
Yeah.
all. That's really cool.
That's it. Because now you're thinking, every time you think plumber, you're thinking macho man.
Yeah.
The ultimate, the alpha.
Exactly.
And then someone just
Shows up
drives by
in
in a
pink.
pink truck, in a pink truck, and I can assure you, you're definitely going to get more women customers.
Okay.
True.
There you go.
Definitely going
Yeah,
to get more women.
most likely.
customers. That's just the truth.
And you see, going back to the psychological power, I mean, we'll get into it as well, the psychological power of some of these things. You find something as simple as that. The people who already trust you are coming to you either way. And now you have people who go based off the color,
Yeah.
decide, I want these
That's-
guys
yeah.
to come
Yeah,
to my
let
house.
Let them come fix for me.
And now that we're in this era of social media where people want to post everything, you find some people will hire you just so they can take a video of you coming into
Yes.
their residence.
Yes, so that they can say the pink plumbers were at my
We're
house.
at my house. Exactly.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
whether you do little work, they will still pay you, and your company gets
Gets
visibility,
free visibility
for
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah. I think that's another important piece is now guerrilla marketing benefits from the element of virality. Right? Guerrilla marketing benefits from the element of virality, where the organization itself might not even have that big of a platform, right?
Yeah.
They might not even be going for virality, but because someone took a picture, someone took a clip, someone took a 15-second video and posted it on their story, on their TikTok or whatever, now you have like double impact because you have that element of surprise, that shock value,
Yeah.
and you have virality further amplifying your strategy or your whatever it is that
exactly.
you're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. So the next item we have is interactiveness.
Yeah.
Okay, so guerrilla marketing relies on emotions, experiences, and that nudges the target audience to participate in a campaign. Okay, and something else comes to mind immediately.
I have a feeling, but go on.
I don't know what comes to mind.
No, you go first.
You go first.
You go first.
Okay. This is not a local example,
Okay.
and that's why I know
Oh,
you're
okay.
off the mark.
Yeah,
So I know what
no.
you're thinking
Okay,
of.
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, there's it's tourism, right? So I think the tourism was to visit, say, go to Australia or find a career in Australia, something in that
line.
sense. Okay. But then they were doing it in like central New York. So what they do is, to have people participate, they created this big escape key, like from the keyboard, they put escape. And so someone would be standing there. And because now you're wondering, why is there a giant, big, yellow escape key, like
right in the middle of, of NY.
Exactly. Yeah, just like, what's this? So when people go ask, so the person standing by the key will ask them, what are your visions? Like, what would you like to do? And they would say something. Immediately they do that. Someone else has typed something up. So they'll tell them, press the escape key and escape into this reality that you would like.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Press the key, and then you know how like in New York you've got all these digital billboards,
Yes.
and immediately what you said appears on the billboard, and someone has summarized it in such a way that yes, you can now escape to this reality. Please, and now they will be bringing attention to their own brand, and now people are interacting and going, okay.
That's so cool. That's really cool. I think I saw an example of something that Airbnb did. It was, I think the tagline was Night Art, where they were making these historical sites like the Louvre, these major places, museums, what. Like you could enter this. I think it was like a competition or something. You could enter to get a night at the Louvre, or a night at the catacombs on Halloween, or like all of these like places where you're not staying there. Like it's not a lodging place. But like to give the experience to these people who are wanting to travel or whatever, you could get a night at these places. Yeah.
Okay. And now for the example you
local
actually wanted.
I was going to talk about the chicken.
Our favorite bird.
That's our bird. The hybrid. In case it's our bird.
National
it's yours,
treasure.
but it's ours. It's like it belongs to us. Going through everything we're going through.
Yeah.
As a nation.
If that bird could talk.
My goodness.
Oh my goodness, it would have so much to say.
You guys remember that when we won the Africa Cup many years ago?
Yes.
When we won the Africa Cup many years ago.
Many years ago.
People climbed on that bird.
Oh, really? Yes. My people.
People were climbing on that bird.
People.
It's our bird. Basically, it's our bird. But anyway, the point I was going to make is it's very, the way that they quote unquote dress it is very much in touch with what is going on at the moment.
Yeah, what's trending.
Like, if it's Christmas time,
it becomes for the Christmas.
White. If there's a local match going on, it will be the colors of whoever is.
Yes.
If there's, you know what I mean? All of these different ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And it becomes, maybe not to the extent like the examples that we've given earlier, but it's interactive in the sense that when we look at it, it's like, okay, this is what is going on right now.
Yes.
And it's gonna get on social media.
It is.
They don't even post it themselves.
No, they don't.
They don't even post it themselves.
No doubt.
It's now buzzworthy content.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And so it already touches on the three things we've talked about. The element of surprise. Because you'll be driving and you'll be like, this chicken today is now PG-20. What is now passed on deck? That's how they've branded it?
Yesterday it was something else. Today we're shocked.
Okay, but with that, even before you get the two other elements, what time do they paint this bird?
No, I've actually seen it happen. Like,
really? No, I thought it's like a night move. Like,
no. Actually, they just do it during the day. I think it's just.
But it's still surprising.
The people who do it are just quick about it. And so going back to, as opposed to hybrid, always putting up, say, posters, billboards,
cost effectiveness comes
exactly.
in now.
The cost effectiveness aspect comes in because now they just have their cut-off paints.
And they change it.
They change it up.
It's something else.
Done.
Yeah.
Because their chicken, it's there.
It's there.
That roundabout is there. It's the hybrid roundabout.
That chicken really is
a national
legendary.
treasure. National treasure.
Legendary. Whoever manages that element of it.
If it goes missing, Vazaf, please.
Find us our chicken.
Find us our chicken.
Find us our chicken.
You know what? Speaking of buzzword, you've just reminded me of a very interesting campaign that I liked, local. I also like to give local examples. Zambia Breweries. Zambia Breweries went on a campaign trying to tell the public, or rather trying to educate the public, that our local beers are just as good as international beers.
Yeah.
And they went on to disguise, basically, yes, they disguised Mosi Lager
with different.
Is it Icon? I think it was Icon.
Yes,
Icon Lager.
Icon.
And they had it. I think they had it rolled out for quite some time. I can't remember the period that they had rolled it out for.
Yeah.
And they had people say, "No, we're introducing a new beer.
Yeah.
Please try Icon. It's an international award-winning beer."
Yeah.
And people fell in love with this Icon.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's better than A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And it created some buzz. And then at the official the official launch,
And they were like,
they invited
Gotcha.
Exactly. They invited
Influencers.
all the influencers. And I hear a little birdie told me it was only at the event that they had the actual Mosi bottles, but then over the branding of the Mosi, they had the icon packaging.
Yes.
And they asked people, I think that they also asked people to enter some sort of a draw, say you're going to win this and whatnot. And then they went ahead to say, you're all winners. Kindly review your prize by peeling off the package of Icon. And it was Mosi. Like, if that is an element of
really
surprise.
cool.
That was
really
cool.
cool. I think I remember seeing something about that. That was really cool. I think the Zambian breweries, the marketing guys, they are
Kudos.
like between that and Mosi Day of Thunder and like everything else that's in the
Kudos
mix.
to them.
Yeah.
They're doing some really, really, really good work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't go so much
Yeah.
into
And
just giving shout outs, but yeah.
I think another good example in light with what you've mentioned is that of Coca-Cola and Diet Coke.
Yeah.
So what they did was people were going to the cinema, okay? And so when they're dispensing, like where you have your slushy and
Yes.
where the Coke is from,
Yes.
so it's in a cup.
Styrofoam.
So what they were doing is he was actually dispensing Diet Coke in the Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Because now people already had this notion of Coke as it's Diet Coke is not nice, it's not.
Yeah.
So that's what they gave them, and everyone went into the movies. After the movie, they asked them, "How did you enjoy your Coke?" "Yeah, I loved it just like I always do." This and that. I'm like, okay. And in fact, drink, and then they asked them, "Can you lift? There's a cup inside your cup.
Yeah.
Lift it." And then they realized, "Oh, I was drinking Diet Coke."
Gotcha.
And it's just
Oh,
as good.
wait. I'm sorry, I need to do this. Bazinga. I might have just exposed myself as a total nerd, but like I had to. Yeah,
Quality.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I remember that campaign. It was a very good,
I
very good
didn't see
campaign.
the Coca-Cola one, but I did see the Mosi one. That
Mosi one.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Okay, so another feature we have is it's used in B2C, in most cases, obviously. You're not about to do element of surprise with another company. And that's why.
They won't take you seriously. Hey, you're shocking us.
Like, what do you mean you're trying to shock us?
Yeah.
So this for people with businesses and companies realize that mostly when we do guerrilla marketing, we're trying to attract our end consumers. And so we find ways of doing that. We could go on. I love the fact that we can actually give examples. And just before we move on we have proactiveness, and let's move on to other conversations because we're going to stay here the whole day. I can just give one more example of guerrilla marketing in effect. So we don't have McDonald's here, no. But so there's an ad that was done. So what they did, I know in Zambia we have one where it was yes drink. They would paint it over the road. On Cairo Road.
Oh.
Yes. I mean, now it's faded. I don't know what paint.
I was about to ask where? Exactly on Cairo Road.
Now it's faded.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Oh, cool. I
Yes.
didn't know they would do that.
Yes. So they did that. So now what McDonald's did was on the zebra crossing, they extended their
M?
packaging for fries.
Oh.
They extended it, and now the zebra crossing the lines became the fries.
Oh.
That's cool. That's very.
That's really cool.
Exactly. So every time you're walking over, it's like you're
They're
stepping on
walking
the
on
fries,
fries.
McDonald's.
They're walking on fries. That's really cool. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's anyway. The more of this is you see it in unexpected places.
Exactly. When you see it, you know it.
Yeah.
Tukia used to enjoy playing tiles, piano tiles.
I was good at that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to do that, what they ended up doing, the people that created the game, in a subway on the staircase, every time you took a step, it played a note.
Oh, like a key play.
Yes. So now people would be running up and just making
music.
Let's move on.
Music,
Please.
fitness,
Making
yeah.
music. So many examples. So many examples. Yeah.
So another issue we look at is guerrilla marketing illegal? And a lot of people ask that because of some of the fines certain companies start to pay after they do something. And mostly this is because maybe the company did not get permission from local authorities, or it's viewed as, in the competition world, not fair.
Unfair competition.
Unfair competition and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So we have the notion of price ads, ad wars that we've seen.
Yes.
And I know it's something you wanted to touch on.
Yeah. We've seen, and I think it's growing. The popularity of it actually is growing. They're doing it more now. I think you see it with our telecommunication service providers.
Yes.
They just like go at it.
They go at it. They throw shade.
There is some low level blows, high level.
Love to see it
pettiness.
though.
It's like okay,
Like for me, love to
just
see
bring in there good engagement. They have their finger on the pulse in terms of like what's going on, what the prevailing things
Unintended.
are happening. But yes, finger on the pulse. What the prevailing things are going on, like socially even, and those are the things that they use. So we've seen Zamtel make jabs. I think they say come home.
Yes.
Zamtel say come home, and they use that a lot when
Something
other
happens.
service providers are having challenges. And then I think another one
There's a
that
blackout? No,
come
not
home.
here.
No, yeah, we're still smooth sailing.
Operating.
Yeah.
So that's one. The other one is we've seen wars between some financial institutions.
Yes.
I think it was the Our Red.
The Reds.
The
Reds.
Battle of the Reds.
The Battle of the Reds. And I think they had like this huge billboard. I think it was along Addis Ababa Drive.
Yes, it was
Right by Lunda Park.
Yes.
Somewhere
This
there.
super big billboard, and it was very interesting. For some reason, I can't remember even exactly what was on the billboard, but it was like some, like you wouldn't expect traditionally that's the direction that a financial institution, like when you're thinking about the financial institution, it's very serious,
Yes.
in suits and in ties and stuff like that, and it got for it to get to that point. And I think it was a competition thing that they were told to take it down, if I remember correctly. Was it?
I can't really remember. I vividly remember that the message there had something to do with, I think, quote, absolutely not the best bank in Zambia or something like that, unquote. That's all I remember. As to which authority was responsible,
for it being taken down.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, talking about the legality of it, usually, most times, it's not illegal.
Yeah.
However, the questions arise about the ethicalness of it.
Yes.
Is this the most ethical approach? Of course, there are instances we've seen, like we have like global examples of instances where they've done something and legal authorities, municipalities have ended up fining people for, maybe not taking the proper precautions and stuff like that. We were just talking about an example of Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Putting up LED boards that ended up causing a bomb scare and cost them actually $2 million in fines at the end of the day. So, word of caution, be cautious. Take all of the necessary legal precautions. Make sure that what you're doing fits in the bounds of the law. You are in order with your municipality. The ethical line is told. But the legality of it, you must always take a legal approach.
Yeah, because there's some people who do it and they do it in such a way that it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
they do it in such a way that it's fun. So you find that another good example that I know I enjoyed these price ad wars is that between the vehicle companies. We had the BMWs, the Mercedes. Those were so fun, and Audi jumps in. It's just like okay. So if you haven't seen those, just look it up and just search ad wars. BMW versus Mercedes. Something will come up, and you have a blast.
We actually had a brief conversation about one. I think I was the one who shared that one. Benz were congratulating BMW
yes,
on 100 years of something, I think, and they said, but the last 30 years have been really boring.
Yes, thank you for now bringing some competition. Because they've been outstanding.
The last 30 years. Yeah, so that's another interesting one. So yeah, that's about
one
it,
to look out for.
Yeah. I think there was also one, I can't really remember, South Africa with the cereal brands. I think it was it must have been Wheat Bix versus Kellogg's.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they did go at it.
Are you a Wheat Bix person?
Yes. I am a Wheat Bix person, and I think at the office someone told me, like, stop eating that. That's as good as bird food. I was so offended. I love Wheat Bix.
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm also a Wheat Bix person.
Thank you.
Because, listen, cereal is cereal.
Yeah.
Like, when I say cereal, I mean cornflakes.
Exactly.
Cornflakes. It's cornflakes. Look, I don't even have proper defense, but Wheat Bix always win.
Wheat Bix wins.
In my books.
Yeah.
In my books.
Yeah.
And then one day when I'm a rich auntie in a Range Rover, granola.
Wow.
One day, when my bank account can afford it, I'll be the granola auntie. For now, it's Wheat Bix.
No?
Yeah.
Please. So we move on.
Yeah.
So acknowledging most of what we have talked about, we now look at what DIY guerrilla marketing for small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at the heart of what it is we're trying to do is also try to empower people who have businesses and to go out and do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So we can start by leveraging local communities and events. So how do you stand out? We acknowledge there's other businesses, and now you need to find a way in which you stand out. So what's happening within your community that you can then participate in and allow yourself to stand out? Is there a local event you can go to? So as opposed to, say, if you've got, say, a concert that's happening in your community, you then decide, okay, as opposed to going on, say, TV or thing and pay lots of money, you just go set yourself up somewhere and just create that brand visibility, because now everyone in your community can see that, oh, okay, these are the people and this is where they're found just within our community, and it gives you that brand visibility. Yeah.
I think I've seen that one. I think I came across some examples about that one, particularly with sports merchandising organizations and sports events, where they're not even paying. You know, you'd have to pay to like properly advertise, but just like get a segment of people wearing your merchandise. Like if it's a football match, I don't know how many seats are in the stadium. If you got, you know, even 10% of people who are going there to wear your merchandise, everyone will be like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Like, why are they wearing? Where's this from?
Pink plumber.
You get some, yes, it will give that pink plumber effect. It will give that pink plumber effect. So, it's the interesting thing about guerrilla marketing is it's very approachable. It can even be just giving out brochures, right? Like you said, at an event, you'll be outside just giving out brochures to the people who are coming to the event, and they'll be able to know about your business that way. So it's that creativity and outside the box thinking that is available to everybody, you know. Yeah.
Essentially, yes. So there's also the aspect of, you know, how people so there's someone who has a moving company. Okay. So what he decided to do was come up with a tactic to talk to 500 people he's dealt to, 500 companies that can use him as a referral.
Okay.
So these are basically other like people with furniture stores. Because when you say a moving company, if people buy, they'll be like, okay, how do I get it to my place? So
this person.
So that's what he did. So he went on, and so we can look at this as guerrilla marketing. Is the only thing you're spending is the fact that you're on the road and you're spending all this time talking to
these people. Yeah.
But otherwise, so he was then developed a way, and he acknowledged that as an individual, he was very monotone, okay, not the most charismatic, and so he had to build this persona and go in, talk to people, and of course you're going to be turned down a number of times.
Yes.
And it just speaks to the fact that if you keep trying and you have this perseverance, you have some people will acknowledge you and go, okay, fine, they'll give you a shot, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
And it worked for him and built the brand he has.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good example of the budget friendly.
You
know what I mean?
Yes.
You might not have the money for this big billboard. You might not have the money but you can go and do this door-to-door thing.
Yes.
You can make these calls. Now you can send these messages using your social platforms, etc., etc. You can send out these emails. So it's the thing about guerrilla marketing is what are the resources available to you, and how can you make
the best or the most of it. You struck a nerve when you talked about sports merchandising, and speaking of budget friendliness, there's a company or a group of companies that decided to go viral on one of the biggest stages of them all.
Okay.
The UEFA Champions League final.
Okay.
So what happened was, it was the UEFA Champions League final, Liverpool versus Tottenham. I think most people would say, well, that's one of the most boring Champions League finals, but we won't get into that.
Okay.
And there was a pitch invader.
Okay.
Yes, there was a lady who invaded the pitch.
Lady?
Yes, a lady in a swimsuit. I think her name was Kingsley Wolanski.
Okay.
Yes. So she went in a swimsuit, and I think it was written vitally uncensored. So she went onto the pitch, and the game had to stop because there's a pitch invader.
Yeah,
The game came to a standstill, and what did she gain from that small act? Firstly, when it comes to cost, obviously there's cost of the ticket. Then she was obviously taken by the police and was charged only $100 bail.
Okay.
Only $100 bail. But then she was doing this, believe it or not, for her boyfriend's company.
Wow.
Like that.
He probably didn't even pay her money.
I hope that guy has married her, because she did the most.
She really did.
And
that's my man. I must stick beside him.
Exactly. And with that came, I think, the growth of the YouTube channel rose from 10K to I think like 130K.
Wow.
And so her social media, I think Instagram, she only had, I think, 11,000 likes and went to 900,000 likes in the space of 2 hours with just invading the pitch. And I'm like, there's a sense, there's an element of guerrilla marketing here, because
that's exactly what that is.
Unconventional.
Actually.
Yeah, unconventional.
Value, minimal resources.
Exactly, minimal resources. And as I continue to read that story, adding to the shock, the boyfriend invaded the pitch at the World Cup final.
Wow. Okay.
Moral of the story: invade a pitch.
I'm not.
No, in Zambia,
They'll beat you.
They'll beat you.
Not with those police officers. No.
They'll beat you. They'll beat you in Zambia.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give kudos for them for believing in their brand to that extent.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, before we even go into all of the other specifics, you really have to believe in your product. To go to that extreme. That's interesting.
Literally a video of the guy saying, "That's my girlfriend, as she's running onto the pitch." Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
we
a good
do for life.
Or money.
Or visibility.
Please.
So with that in mind, we are not saying go and evade the pitch.
No. That's
so what we are saying,
it could just be a concert. I'm joking.
Think outside the box,
Yes.
and find ways you can gain visibility. And there's there's good ways of doing it, okay? And there's also ways that could hurt your brand.
Yeah.
So you could you think, okay, I'll tell you what. A lot of people will be like, okay, just go nude, for instance. Like, don't do that. We don't need to see you. We need keep your clothes on. Okay. There's better ways you can get. That's like that can be like bad visibility in certain situations.
ways,
and, you know how people view it, and it ends up hurting your brand. Especially if you're in a country that's also conservative and family focused. Like here. So you have things like that you need to look out for. So remember, low cost and high impact ideas for entrepreneurs with limited budgets. So we take advantage of the things at our disposal, like you say, the resources we have to make the greatest impact we can. And also another issue is also we've discussed going with trends and things that's happening. Sometimes it's just enough to gain you some visibility. There's an example of at the Super Bowl, I think it was in 2013, which was apparently this is what American football is a very big deal in America itself.
That's tradition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was there was a power cut.
Okay.
Which was apparently one of the most embarrassing things in sports history.
Okay.
If it happened here, it would be like another day.
Another dollar.
Another day.
Another day, it is what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is. We move.
We move.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And now it costs millions of dollars to put your ad for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, during the halftime show.
Yeah.
And you see people do everything they can to get as much visibility as they can just for the Super Bowl ad, because you're paying millions of dollars. So what they did was, when the power cut, Oreo, it's like the design team or the digital team, the design were all together when this happened. I assume they were not watching the Super Bowl, or they were watching it, but they were in the office. Okay, so when the power cut, they quickly came up with an idea. They said, "Hey, let's create an ad." So what do? Let's create an ad. They have the Oreo. And so you know how you've got the white cream?
Yes.
Okay. Someone shows some light in what seems to be dark. And then the tweet was, you can still dunk this in the dark.
Oh.
And it went viral. So now everyone who's waiting for the lights to go on,
they are seeing
all they're doing is concentrating on this Oreo tweet.
Oh.
And there, they didn't have to pay millions.
Were they not there? They probably were not. Okay, anyway, we can assume that maybe
they were not at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Creative, yeah.
That's really, really cool. I mean, the other thing is you really have to be quick with all of these things.
Yes.
You really, really have to be quick, because it ebbs and flows, and trends change so quickly.
Yes.
But that's a good one.
That's a good
I
one.
think that's a good
Reminds
one.
me of how all our local brands were jumping on the Uncle Malume. Like every brand jumped on. Everyone was posting.
Everybody. That's true.
I think another one is the Bugatti we talked about last time.
We touched on
and some of the insurance companies saying, what, if it was here, would have taken, would have insured this.
Precautions.
And,
I will not say much.
As to whether they're going to do it,
no,
it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just looking at the marketing of it.
Yeah.
We're not looking at this.
So So just as we wrap this up, we now also look at a few things that we expect businesses and companies and individuals, steps that they can take to ensure that the guerrilla marketing strategy goes, comes out as well as it possibly should.
Yeah.
And the first step we look at, obviously, without any doubt, is know your audience.
Yes, very, very important. Very important. I think we touched on that.
We touched on that.
In the beginning.
Versus over the top. Yep.
Yeah, over the top shock value, subtlety, should it just be barely there, fully there? That is very much dependent on your audience. And I think that's something we'll be emphasizing probably in every episode.
Yes.
Marketing is so market focused.
Yes.
It's so audience focused. It's so customer centric. You could end up hurting your brand if you create shock value marketing for a subtle client base.
That's true.
Okay. And the next and also a very important point is also set goals. So we already said you don't just go and you're just kicking the ball anyway. It needs to have a direction it's taking. And so you need to set goals. What are you trying to do at this point? I mean, we acknowledge that the guerrilla marketing can be fun, but does it meet the goal, or the target you're trying to reach?
I think you mentioned that when you talked about being intentional and how everything in marketing is deliberate.
Very, very deliberate. Yeah.
So setting
And
goals.
there's people who were my classmates. This is where smart comes in. your goals
Should be
specific,
measurable.
Attainable.
yes,
Realistic.
realistic and timely.
Yeah.
Family is. This is actually a very important one with guerrilla marketing because sometimes it can be difficult to assess return on investment because it's different. It's different than social media marketing because you're not going to have analytics.
Yeah, you
You're
can
not going to
measure
have
it easily.
Yes, you can't measure it easily. So you have to be very, very clear about what are we trying to achieve. While you might not have analytics to measure it, you can see certain outcomes in maybe how your target market then begins to behave or how your audiences are behaving or maybe the number of referrals that you're getting. So be very, very clear about your why and set that, be very meticulous about that. Smart, the measurability should definitely be in there.
Correct.
So with that, we also have to analyze our environment. So your task with guerrilla marketing is to catch potential off guard in a familiar, off guard people in a familiar environment. Okay, so you need to surprise them and delight them. So this can go without an analysis of thriving trends that are going on. So what's the current environment that allows you to do that? It's almost like, are you going to go to a place where it's an epicenter, things are going wrong, and that's why you are trying to do your ad for alcohol? Like, is this the time? Is this the place?
Don't be tone deaf. Don't be tone deaf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what are people talking about at the moment? What's important? Does that align with what you're doing? If, say, during the time of COVID, it makes sense for Trade Kings to come in and say, hey, look, we've got hand sanitizer, we've got these soaps. Aligned, and everyone who sees that completely understands what's going on.
It makes sense.
Yes, it makes perfect sense at that time. So we have that. And that's why they were not talking about any other brands at that point.
No.
Okay, they were very specific about what they were pushing.
Exactly.
And what ads were seeing on TV every time.
Yes. But the thing about brands is when they see you do that, right? In this situation where there's COVID and what we need is sanitizer, and they actually gave a lot. They did a lot of CSR. What that is doing is then it's building trust in consumers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's building top of mind awareness. While we might not still be talking about the hand sanitizer, the brand that is Trade Kings is embedded in our minds.
Correct.
And even when we're buying other products, because they did that, then the trust kind of carries over. So it does have that ripple effect.
It does.
And of course, we come to our fourth point, which is come up with a technique.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to do anything, obviously, even your guerrilla marketing campaign, you still need to we go back to brainstorming so that we know what works and what doesn't work. And, from your teams, if you're running a business and the people around you, talk to them and see how much you can generate ideas and get people's suggestions so that you can now, go out and see how you can make this a reality in your world and get your the view of your
Audiences,
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to a certain extent, I think there's some times where even in our everyday lives, routines and technique sort of goes out of the window a little bit, and you can bend the rules just a little bit, because we are talking about something with an unconventional, creative. You're talking about element of surprise. So in as much as, yes, we should have a technique in how we're doing things, I think some of the best guerrilla marketing that I've seen has thrown a lot of technique out of the window. Yeah.
I mean, with the Super Bowl example.
With the Super Bowl example, exactly.
I mean, the technique is like the creativity. You know what I mean? Like that is there, but like the wherewithal to like think, let's jump on this. That's inspiration that just hits, right? That's inspiration that. I mean, as much as possible, have your tools, have your toolbox ready.
Don't color. Is it above the lines or beyond the lines?
Yeah.
Have
your toolbox ready.
Yeah.
And our fifth point is...
Nope, that's the last one.
No, we have one more and we can conclude.
Yeah.
Our fifth point is obviously you've done all this, you've gathered, because we've said with, you understand your audience, you've set your goals, you've analyzed your environment, you've come up with a technique, and now we need to execute the plan because truly at the point of, if you do not implement, then there's no use of
then why are you doing
why are you doing it in the first place? So this is the point we come to. I mean, it's one we can all understand. It's time to now get your boots on the ground and do the actual work to make what you're doing a reality. So once we execute our plan and finally we need to measure our results.
Yeah, the execution sometimes, and I think it's good that it's there. Sometimes that's where you can miss it.
That's
like you'll know as a brand, like this is what we want to do, this is what we want to achieve. But in the execution, you might overlook something. I think I was seeing an example of a company that made popsicles, that they made this giant popsicle. I think it was in New York or something like that. Big, like, I don't know how many feet high popsicle. What they didn't factor in was how fast it would melt. So there was goo.
Oh no!
Everywhere, and they had to now like pay for cleanup. The fire department had to like come and like wash everything off. So sometimes the disconnect between like the line between a successful and an unsuccessful is just in the execution. So it's a good consideration.
That's a.
The idea was good. The shock value is there. The visibility is there. All of that. Just miscalculated the melting time.
Oh my goodness! And execution, implementation.
Yes.
It also sort of reminds me of something. I saw a Guerrilla element in this. It's I think away from our regular products and services. There was a time, I think it was 2021. All of a sudden on social media, I don't know if both of you are familiar with Roberto and J-Rocks.
Yes.
They had a feud on social media. Yes, they had a feud on social media. Yeah. So it's like, no, this guy stole, I think, my album art for one of my songs.
Oh, okay.
Says, no, I'm a better artist than you. Have you seen the list of my accomplishments? It was so real.
Heated.
Yes, but these were very, I think one of them is very, I think sad. I think Roberto is a little bit. Sometimes he could be sad or not really over the top. Yeah. He's not the one to publicly fight with.
Not. Yes, he's not.
Yeah, he's not. So even I was wondering, is this
what's happening?
What's going on? Exactly. It's not adding up. It's not adding up. I don't think Roberto. I've never seen him in this light. And it went on, says no, your list of accomplishments you can put on one piece of paper. And the other one was like, oh, okay. I'll say, since yours can be put on one piece of paper, I'll send you a whole rim for my list of accomplishments.
Ooh.
And it went on and on and on. And people started to buy into that these guys are really beefy.
They're beefy.
Yes. Now, the moment I think where it took a turn for the worst was, I think they exchanged each other's social media accounts. So Roberto had gone live on, I think, J-Rox's account and vice versa.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think that's for me at least. That's why I said, okay, this is not real.
This is not real.
This is not real. And all in all, it was they were promoting a song that they were doing together.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes. So in my head, I'm like, good idea. It went on, and I think it went on for too long. The execution they almost got it. They almost got it.
Maybe they should have. You need to know when to stop.
Yes, when to stop. Because when you now exchange, is that really possible? How did you hack into his social media?
Both of you.
I think Budweiser did something like that when they came onto the scene. So basically, they used Slab D as the main person to push it. So what they were doing is they would send packages to his house. Obviously, he obviously knew what was going on. But for him, he would be like, someone dropped off a package at my house where my daughter lives, saying, I am the new king in town. How dare you come to my city?
I see that one. Nice.
I didn't see that either.
Talk about that. So they'll be like, no, there's nowhere. And sending my fancy design packages. We will meet. Tonight we are meeting. My people even wait on social media.
Beverage.
Let me just get a 10,000 people. Let them see what's happening. And okay, boom. The day comes. It's like we're going. And it was a launch of Budweiser. The king of beers.
Exactly. And personality wise, Slap D is someone.
He's the king. He's the king.
Wow.
I didn't
see that. I don't know how
see
it
that.
missed me, but
Didn't see that either.
Yeah. So
I think that's a good Zambian example to close off on.
So even as we conclude, let's always remember that we should always view marketing as a long-term process and not short-term. And that's why certain people tend to give up early, or you start having arguments with people in the finance department as to
give me the budget for my viral marketing
budget. So let's always look at it and have the patience that's needed to see the results, and knowing that marketing is it stays in the back of the minds of people, and at some point it's going to hit them, and they will come and make a return on the investment you made. So, do you have anything to say as we close?
I think the only thing I would say is keep that intentionality. Yeah, stay on your toes. Keep that intentionality. Do your environmental sensing all the time. Look out for those opportunities like Oreo did.
Yeah.
When there was a blackout at the Super Bowl. Keep your eyes open and keep your finger on the marketing.
Keep your finger on the marketing powers. But we can't end just yet.
No. What I meant to say is just like keep your ears on the ground.
Yes.
Keep your ears on the ground. That's what I was trying to say.
I hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. And just in addition to what you've said, I think it goes above and beyond just the ads that we've talked about and the print media. It could also be in your packaging, your music or your tone. So it's not just the massive billboards or the big showcase. Just think of anything unorthodox, something that's going to surprise people, something that people are not thinking about. So, I think those should be my last.
Yes, and so it does that. So it's been a great conversation, and I would just like to finish it. So thank you to all our listeners. We love hearing from you. So please take time to DM us on Instagram. Let's have conversations on Facebook. Our email is there. Find us on our socials, and let's continue to interact and uplift marketing in our country, and just as we also help other people know more about marketing.
Yes.
So with that in mind, keep your finger
on the marketing pulse.
Hi.
Bye-bye. We hope that you have enjoyed today's episode just as much as we have.
Till next time, remember to keep your finger on the marketing pulse.